Hey, friends and family.
Hello there. Good to see you. Rex and Shana here.
It's good to see you tonight. Wow, so we have had interesting conversations.
We always do.
Yes.
And a lot of the conversations, we really should just be recording the conversations, but it's like sometimes we don't think of it until after we've had the conversation. Like, you know what, why don't we go ahead and just turn on the video to see where it goes. So that's what we're doing a little bit tonight.
That's what tonight is.
But she had an experience last night that kind of launched this kind of conversation. So anyway.
Right. Yeah, we're talking about personal space and boundaries and not being an object and being seen as a person. And these, oh my God, these repetitive things, they're repetitive for a reason. I don't know why, but some of these things just keep coming up in life. It doesn't make any sense, but it happens.
You know, I'm one of these guys that, I may be a straight guy, but I have a lot of women in my life that are my friends. Okay, don't read into it. I have a lot of really beautiful friends in my life, and I've always cultivated friendships with women. And I'm not suggesting it can't happen to a guy too, but it seems like it happens a lot more to women. And it's amazing to me that I get to be walking down the street, even with a girl that I've been dating, and watching guys literally falling all over themselves, trying to just get the girl to just look at them. And it's amazing sometimes where you can be looking, a beautiful girl, could be looking in the direction of a guy, and he all of a sudden assumes he's got like a shot with her, so he starts, not just that he goes up and tries to talk to her, but all of a sudden he's like constantly, in this case, like following her and making her uncomfortable, and even though there's no signals whatsoever to say that it's okay to approach, they still do. But anyways, it's as a man, I mean, I don't know, I'm kind of shy and I don't really have any game. I'm not one of those guys that has. I'm not cool. I'm kind of a geek a little bit. Don't get me wrong. I've dated beautiful women in my life, but at the same time, I don't walk up to girls at clubs. And besides, if I do, it usually doesn't go very well anyway. So, but case in point is, like, it just amazes me that most guys, you think you can kind of read. I mean, I'm the kind of person, and partly because of my shyness, but I would never walk up to a girl that that clearly does not want my attention at all. If her signals or body language is telling me, not interested, not even in a conversation, I leave her alone. It's a given. I don't want a weird, awkward situation. I don't want to deal with that. So, but it's just amazing to me sometimes, and you're telling me the story about what you went through last night. It just astonishes me how these guys could be so thick sometimes about. You got no signal, you got no reason to approach the girl, but yet you won't leave her alone. It's like,
the only signal is a busy signal.
The busy signal, and yet they still approach. They still try to find a reason. And anyway, go ahead. I'll let you tell your story. I'm blathering off enough here. I'll let you tell the story.
No, I'm glad that you're sharing, because you're so respectful to people. You're so good with boundaries.
I appreciate it.
And we've known each other for years.
Yeah.
And I have seen you stand up as an ally, protecting women, protecting trans, protecting queer community.
Absolutely.
Always. And you always stand up for people to make sure they're not objectified and that their boundaries are honored.
Thank you.
And I cherish this about you. That was one of the very first things I witnessed with you and learned about you. And that was like one of the first things I was like, I can respect this person.
Thank you. I mean, seriously, I didn't know what to say, but thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Well, that's honest. And you deserve that same respect. And you make sure people around you are respected. You're the gentleman who will walk individuals to their car.
Absolutely.
Every time to make sure they're safe. You make sure people exiting the building get out safely. You kind of watch the parking lots, make sure people are safe.
Yes.
I mean, you...
Especially my girlfriends, for sure. I absolutely...
Yeah.
And sometimes, and we were just talking about this, because sometimes you go out by yourself, sometimes, your partner, he's got to work and he's got to be up early in the morning, so you'll go out by yourself. And I get concerned because sometimes you are on a street somewhere alone, and it concerns me greatly. So that's one of the reasons this conversation came up, because, just sometimes things can happen. All it takes is that one incident that could be so traumatic and damaging if you're not being careful. And this goes for men too. Not like I can't go out and get jumped or something like that, but at the same time, it's a lot less likely for me. I've been a lifelong martial artist. I can take care of myself. I don't fight anymore. I've got too broken and too injured to be fighting anymore these days. But at the same time, if I had to, I certainly can. I got a long history of it, a long history of training. So if worse comes to worse, I can take care of myself. But not everybody has that, and it's just. And sometimes you concern me because you're a very brave person, but sometimes you let yourself be in situations alone, and I know you're careful as you can be, but if you're a guy, Well, if you're a guy out there and you have a friend of yours, I don't care if you're parked many, many blocks away, walk your friend to the car. Make sure she gets to the car safe and sound. I'm going to say that right now. And I made clear that if I'm ever out there and your boyfriend's not there, I will definitely be there to make sure you get to your car safe, even if I'm parked a mile away. I don't care. You're going
I've
to get to
spent
your
a
car
lot
safe.
of my life single.
I get it.
So
I get it.
if I'm going out and I'm meeting my friends,
but you hear such horror stories sometimes, and it just I don't want that to happen to you or anybody that I care about, or just anybody. Period. I just hear sometimes it's horror stories. A girl is out there in a parking lot. She's been clubbing all night, having a good time. Maybe she's had a few drinks, and there's a couple of guys, or even one guy, and doesn't take no for an answer, and bad things happen. And that's all too common, especially when it comes to like nightclubs and
but the
with
not
people that are
taking
intoxicated
no,
and things like that.
the not taking no for an answer goes back to ego, power, control, entitlement.
And of course, alcohol exacerbates that.
That's not. Those acts of violence they're not about sex. They're about power and control. It's somebody who wants to overpower another person. And it's not about the person that they're trying to overpower.
No, it's typically
about
not
them.
personal, but at the same time, it just doesn't make it right in any way, shape,
It's
or form.
never right. It's never right. It's never okay. And
We can understand it all we want to, but it is beyond unexcusable.
There's never a reason to disregard somebody's boundaries or to make somebody not feel safe. So what I was sharing with Rex is I was out Saturday night and went to a Christmas DJ party where my friends were working, and they invited me, and I was on the guest list, which is always nice.
Yeah.
And it was a very giving experience for my friend, and it was promoting female DJs and lifting queer community, lifting females, it's uplifting is what it was, bringing people together.
It's supposed to be an open and safe environment.
Right. And as soon as I arrive in the building, this one particular person just kind of looks at me and sort of singles me out, and it was really creepy. I was like, I'm not comfortable with the way this person is awkwardly staring at me. I'm not comfortable with the way that this person's awkwardly dancing and acting around me. And this person tried to come up and talk to me.
Did he get right into your space?
Oh, completely. In my dancing space, in my personal realm, awkwardly, and tried to say something that was relevant to nothing and wasn't even starting a conversation. It was mumbling something that meant nothing, that wasn't even making connection or something that would create an attachment of any sort or anything that would even strike a conversation. It was like a comment that was relevant to nothing. It wasn't even like an intro to no, it was just like a random, it had no relevance to, it wasn't even like, how's your night? Or I haven't seen you in this community before.
Hello, my name is.
Yeah, nothing like that. There was nothing relevant to create a connection of any sort. It was just a rambling of something that didn't really have any relevance and didn't really make sense and wasn't even a way to get to know someone. It was.
Did he try to put hands on you at that point?
No.
Okay. At least there's that.
No. But this person followed me the entire night, and it wasn't just for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, which would not have been, that was alone.
Even that's kind of creepy.
Yeah. No, this went on for hours. It went on for hours. And finally I was just like, I've got to get away from this person. I was like, and I stepped away and go to the ladies' room. And the restrooms were very gender specific.
This is wrong. This is so wrong.
Men's restroom over here on this way other side of the building. Women's restroom way over here on this other side of the building in the back.
These are not mixed gendered restrooms.
They were completely separate. Very, very separate, different parts of the building. Very, very distinct. If you're walking down the back side on the right, you're only going to the women's restroom. If you're walking down the back side of the building on the left, you're only going to the men's restroom. This is very gender specific. So, point's clear. So this person in the poo brown plaid shirt.
So funny, I'm sorry. She said this earlier, and I couldn't stop laughing. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, but that's.
It was poo brown plaid. Oh.
What did you call it? Poop brown dew or something?
No, it's poo brown plaid.
Okay.
Oh, there's brown, and then there's like the plaid brown, and one of the browns that it's prominent is the one that you just don't ever want to see for any reason. It was that. Just the brown was as disturbing as the person. So
just really not your type anyways. I mean, maybe if he would have been nice enough to strike up a friendly conversation, maybe you would have had a conversation with him, but obviously not interested in anything beyond that.
No,
Never mind, you're in a relationship
vibes
anyways.
were too off.
Right.
And
well, like I said, he didn't even say anything that made sense anyways when he tried to
with autism, I don't pick up on the weird vibey things. Like because I don't read the body language. This was
you see the good in people as well. I mean, you're somebody who's very nice person, and you see the good in people. You're just one thing that I really like about you.
Oh man, spidey senses were going off. I don't really have spidey senses. So it's like another layer to this, right?
Right.
So I step away.
So if you're uncomfortable, that's really saying something.
I'm so uncomfortable. I'm like, you know what? Right now is a really good time to just step away. So I did. I walk out to the washing area in the women's bathroom. Guess who's standing at the mirror washing his hands?
In the ladies' room.
He followed me in there. So
no, that's not creepy at all.
So the door stays open, by the way, to the restroom. So I step out into the back hallway where if you look really hard, there is a view from the dance floor, but you have to look really hard to see it. Hopefully somebody's looking. I just stand out there and I wait. And on the way out, he mumbles something to me, again, not relevant to anything. And I make some comment like, I'm not walking in until you leave. So he leaves and I make sure he's gone. Then I walk in to wash my hands. And right as I walk in, a very tall woman walks in behind me with this incredibly confident, strong presence. And I said, did you just see that man leave the restroom? She's like, what? I'm like, that guy? I was like, he was in here. He followed me in here. She said, what are you talking about? She said, I will beat him into the ground. And I just looked at her. I was like, what? She's like, I will stand up for my sisters. I will stand up for women. I will protect women. I will protect trans community. I will stand up as an ally. I will fight anybody. She's this tall, lean, statuesque, beautiful soul.
Hey, let's be real. Some women can straight up fight. I've seen it. I witnessed it. I've never fought women. I don't fight women, but I witnessed it happen. There's some women, if you watch MMA at all, there's some women that are like some serious martial artists out there.
And I'm pretty sure she was one of those. and she said, I will stand up for my sisters. I will protect women. She said, if this guy messes with you, you tell me. She said, I will lay him on the ground.
Right.
And I mean, this is a classy, educated woman with a great presentation. There's nothing street or thug about her. She's articulate. She is together and she owns her space. She has her boundaries. And I'm just like, wow. And I like, so what is your name? So she tells me her name, we meet. I said, I am so grateful to meet you. I said, I know one person here and she's busy DJing. She's busy working. She can't be involved in this. She's got to work. I don't know anybody else here. Right. I said, thank you for saying hello. Thank you for letting me know I'm safe. Thank you for keeping an eye on this person. She said, when we're out of here, come outside. I want you to meet my friends. Come meet the people I'm with. So one of the people she was with, I thought was her partner. Turns out he's her good friend. And I told him what was going on. Meanwhile, Poo Plaid Boy comes over to dance in my space again. And I talked to him about kind of what's going on. And as I'm explaining to him, this person's dancing right behind me, but in my space. And I said, excuse me, I'm not trying to be rude or weird, but the person bothering me and following me all night is right behind me. Do you mind if I stand on the other side of you for safety and protection? I'm not feeling okay right now. He said, absolutely. I said, thank you so much for understanding. And he said, you know, my friend you were just talking with will kill him if he messes with you. And I said, she told me she'll lay him on the ground. He said, she won't lay him on the ground, she'll kill him. And he was serious. And all I could think of was martial arts. She had that lean, long body. She looked like she knew what she was doing, and she knew what she was talking about. She wasn't mixing words, and she wasn't putting out anything that she couldn't honor. That was my thought, was martial arts. And he said, we're all here. This whole group of people right here, we're all friends. We're all together.
And you never know where she grew up. I mean, I'm the kind of person, you may not know it, just if you just were to just meet me casually or something, but I'm definitely got a total street side. I mean, I originally come from Detroit. So you never know. She might present herself, however she presents herself. But I mean, it might be somebody who's really street tough and street wise going on. She might be a martial artist. She might be a lot of things. But then maybe not. Maybe she grew up in a really some high class neighborhood and has been training her whole life. You just never know. But people these days, you can't always tell by looking at them. So it's kind of hard to say.
No.
But case in point, I get the feeling. I wasn't there, but I get the feeling this girl could probably throw down if she had to. So it's kind of
right. Yeah. Well, this gentleman, he said, look, if this person messes with you, he's not just going to have to face her. He's got all of us.
Right.
He said, I want you to know you're safe and you're protected. I said, thank you, because I haven't felt safe for hours, and I feel a lot less safe after him following me into the bathroom. And right then, as I'm talking with this gentleman, Bad Santa walks up. Have you seen the movie Bad Santa? Okay, so we have a friend who...
He's a great performer. He's an amazing performer. A really good person, too.
Incredible performer. But he did a performance that night where he was Bad Santa, and delivered a singing telegram and did a whole performance as Bad Santa. So this person with this terribly scruffy beard, looking really rough and ragged in his Santa costume, looking like...
I saw the picture. The picture's really good. He looks great. He does.
He does. Comes up to me, and he's standing there like this with his arms crossed. He's like, Shana. And I look, and I'm like, oh, and it's our friend. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm so happy to see you. So we hug, and we hang out the rest of the night. We hang out talking, visiting the rest of the night, so much that 2 security people take turns kicking us out because we don't leave. By that time, I'm pretty sure
Good conversation.
I'm pretty sure that the poop plaid boy has left, because it's just that sheet of brown.
Plaid is okay. Okay.
There's no room for brown, especially that shade. It belongs on a tree or on the ground.
Ouch.
It's just, that's not for...
I typically dress in black, so...
Black.
Anyway.
Or light black. Like, this is...
Hey, black goes with everything.
This is a faded gray washed out.
What are you going to wear? You're going to put something black in the bed? What goes with black?
Black.
Black goes with everything.
Black. Yeah, black.
Easy to coordinate.
Everything matches. The Georgie O'Keeffe philosophy.
Yeah.
So we stay outside talking, and it's cold. We stay outside talking for another at least 30 minutes. And it's an intersection where there's a lot of police and a lot of activity. And I'm thinking, there's no way he's out here with all these police and all this activity and all this cold.
And plus, if worse comes to worse, I mean, all you have to do is scream out. You just say fire really loud, and you'll have a bunch of police looking your way. And I mean, it's easy to make sure you're covered. Somebody's going to have your back out there.
There are there are 3 police officers within 4 feet of me. Like, I'm really safe. Yeah. Plus, I'm hanging out with Bad Santa. Like, no one's really gonna mess with anybody who looks like Billy Bob Thornton in that role. Yeah, right. It just isn't gonna happen. Right. I'm so relieved, and I know I'm safe, and I know some of the people around, and I knew some of the people from the venue by the end of the night. So I was feeling okay. And I walked to my car once the drunk o'clock drivers left and the lot was pretty much more calm. Walked to my car, everything was fine. No poop pod boy around. But, it's ridiculous when just because you are out alone doesn't give someone the right to infringe on your space. Because your boundaries are still your boundaries, your value is still the same, and you're never an object.
Well, it's like I said at the beginning of the video. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, I guess girls too, but mostly guys. I mean, read the signals. If a girl's clearly not into you, move on.
That's right.
Come on, move on. Somebody else might be into you. Go reach out to a girl who's clearly interested. I mean, girls, if they like you, they want you to step to them. They'll find a way to let you know it's okay. If you're not getting that signal, move on. Move along.
There has to be some woman somewhere, and I don't know any of them, but somebody's gotta like a brown plaid shirt.
You know,
they must exist.
You know, whatever.
Because,
right?
and I know this for a fact, because somebody said, I'm gonna make this brown plaid shirt and someone's gonna buy it, and they did, which means that somebody's gonna like it.
Sure.
Which means if one person likes that, maybe two people like it, and one of them could be a counterpart for this person.
Well, you know, when you're out like that, there's a connection. If you're trying to find it, there's usually somebody else you can make some kind of a connection with. But, you know, just kind of read the signals. It doesn't take a genius. You don't have to be an empath or anything like that. But come on, if a girl's not into you, or somebody's, you know, a guy, whatever, if somebody's not into you, just move along. Leave it alone. Don't put you or that person in an awkward, weird situation, you know? Right. Come on.
And wear your plaid shirt. You know, I'm just teasing you. Like, whatever plaid shirt you're wearing, just go for it, eat your heart out.
To each his own. Everybody's got their style, and there's somebody for everybody out there. You know,
and there's some great rockabilly style plaid shirts.
There definitely are, absolutely. Definitely, people can rock that.
Flames and flower girl, like, you know, the bud flap girls on it or whatever.
Oh, for sure,
like,
absolutely.
there's some cool shirts. You know, I'm just
I know,
picking.
Absolutely.
I'm saying this in total love and humor. It's just because.
Hey, not everybody's into dressing in black,
situation.
okay? And I get that. I get teased sometimes because, dude, you're always in black. And like, hey, you know, like I say, it's
all
easy
my
to
clothes
coordinate.
match.
Can I say it all matches? But case in point, you know.
And I joke about all the clothes match. It's just like, this is our scene. This is what we like. And, you know, I'm wearing a Johnny Cash shirt. So, like, really, I'm wearing a Johnny Cash shirt.
with a Johnny Cash shirt. Come on.
Really, I mean, am I going to sit here wearing a Johnny Cash shirt laughing about a plaid shirt? No,
especially
really.
the rockabilly. Come on.
But
I love rockabilly. I'm all
rockabilly,
about that stuff. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, I've definitely been my fair share of country, and even, you know, rockabilly, to punk rock, to anything along those kinds of lines, all that stuff. Absolutely.
Just because we love, like, dark wave, like, that's our favorite thing, doesn't mean that we're purists.
I guess you could say for me it's my favorite thing to dance to, but believe it or not, my favorite, if I gotta pick one genre of music, it's actually classical. I actually freaking love classical music. I just love it. But anyways, that's a whole nother matter, another conversation. But just, you know, just case in point, it's just respect people's spaces. You know, it doesn't take much to read the signals and just be like, hey, this girl's not into me, this guy's not into me, whatever. Just move along, okay? It's okay.
For me, Duran Duran and John Coltrane.
There you go. Oh, there you go. Two great ones right there as well. Definitely. I'll definitely go with both of those for sure.
I mean, the first
I love jazz too. A big jazz fan for sure.
Yes,
especially old John Coltrane, Miles Davis, and all that kind of stuff for sure.
But, you know, somebody plays, you know, Schubert or Debussy or, I mean, it's just Chopin. Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be cliche, but I love Beethoven. Prokofiev. Gosh.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go back a little ways, even going back to, like, you know, say like Renaissance era, like Hildegard von Bingen, which is going way back. Of course, getting into a little bit later Baroque, Vivaldi.
Love Vivaldi.
Even Tchaikovsky. I'm not crazy about the 1812 Overture. Don't really care for that piece, but Tchaikovsky's got so much else that is freaking incredible.
Yes, a lot of strings, not so
we
much
can get into music maybe another
symphonic.
time, but anyway.
Yeah, all the time.
You know,
and the history of music, and
Definitely.
the history of world music, and instruments, and I mean, we're just
absolutely.
We love music.
I mean, I think we said this in another video, but there's not a genre of music I can't find something that I like. You know, even polkas. You know, I mean, I can find even polkas are so much fun. You know, but
they're so fun.
We're definitely going on a tangent a little bit right now, but anyway.
Can we go to like a polka festival together? Or Oktoberfest
you know,
or something.
I would learn to do the dance because I love the dance. Let's learn how to dance
I
the
will
dance.
teach
Let's
you.
get out there. Let's do some of that. I think that looks like a lot of fun.
I will gladly teach you how to polka.
You know, one of my favorite things too is, again, a whole other genre of music is bluegrass. I don't really listen to bluegrass, but I'll tell you what, I will always go to a bluegrass show because they were so much fun, and I will dance my butt off the entire show because those shows are just so much fun. And never mind, the musicianship is just always impeccable. Oh my gosh, bluegrass musicians are some of the best in the world.
I don't get the music. I don't understand how to even begin to dance to it.
Oh, I will. I'll dance my butt off to that stuff. I don't know why, but as soon as I'm in a bluegrass show, I'm going. I'm just off.
I just don't get it. But those are some of the most talented musicians on the planet.
Brilliant musicians on the planet, for sure. Oh my gosh.
Absolute talent. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I know it's talent.
The Grateful Dead's another one. I'm not into the Grateful Dead. I don't listen to the music, but I have huge and giant respect for the Grateful Dead. And I'll tell you, I've been to thousands of shows in my life, and I never got to see a Dead show. And I'll tell you what, if I could go back and go back in time again, I would make a point to go to at least one Dead show because I have a feeling it would be just mind-blowingly awesome. Even if I don't listen to them, but I still just you gotta love the level of musicianship behind those guys. I mean, every one of them, you know, Jerry Garcia to Bob Weir to just name any member of that band, and they're just all brilliant, freaking brilliant. You know, of course, you know, rest their soul in Jerry Garcia, but still, just brilliant guys, all of them, brilliant. But that's another conversation. But I mean, I guess we go off on tangents a little bit sometimes. But
we do.
I guess getting back to the point of just recognizing people's spaces and different cultures, different ways of being. Whether you're talking about just taking care of women. You're talking about trans culture, gay culture, goth culture, rock and roll culture, rockabilly culture. I mean, any of that stuff. Just respect. Just respect.
Yeah, respect to all of it, because everybody has their thing that they love.
Back in the day, people are surprised. I worked with a lot of metal bands. I used to be a nightclub and concert promoter, and even I've got the long hair or whatever, and I do like a lot of metal music. I'm not a metalhead, definitely not. But at the same time, I'll tell you, some of my favorite people in the world, some of my best friends to this day, are working with metal bands back in the day. And people are sometimes surprised when I say, you know what? One of the reasons I loved working with the metal scene and working with metal bands, it didn't matter if it was somebody who was right out of the garage or somebody that was touring the world or anything in between. They were always consummate professionals, always showed up to sound check on time. When they got on stage, they always put their best foot forward and always put on the best freaking shows. Oh my gosh. And again,
so much fun.
People, the level of musicianship in metal bands is freaking incredible. Yeah. I mean, I knew guys that were classically trained, jazz trained, that were metal musicians, and just throwing down things on stage that just were unfreaking real.
That's right.
So just showing the respect out there all over the place. I mean, and then we can go on and on and on, because
we love music.
Musicians all over the world, and just cultures all over the world. Just big respect, and again, just respecting space, respecting just again, getting back to our original point here, because I mean, like I say, guys, girls, especially, again, being a man, I'm saying this, but it seems like it's usually men more than women that are like this. Just if you can see somebody's not into you, just move along. Just let that stuff go. Because if this girl's not into you, this guy's not into you, somebody else certainly is going to be. I mean, just be open and just reading that, because I don't know. I don't ever want to be in a situation where I create something awkward because I go to talk to some girl that clearly does not want to talk to me, and it just ends up being a really lousy experience for the both of us. I definitely don't want that. And I don't want that girl even that girl with that question, like, see me down the road, oh, that really creepy guy that tried to talk to me when I really didn't want it. Like, just let that stuff go. It's okay.
It's okay to
let the
say
egos
hi
go, because not everybody's going to be into it. Yeah, and you could tell the moment you say hello to somebody, if they're don't want to talk past a hello or whatever, then let it go. Tell them have a good night, move on. Go talk to somebody who wants to talk to you. I mean, somebody will.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't mean it like that, but I'm just saying.
Just don't be creepy.
There's connections out there. I mean,
don't be creepy.
You can feel a connection. I mean, girls will definitely let you know. I mean, if it's okay to go up and talk to them, they'll find some way to let you know that it's okay. And if clearly it's not okay, then just let it go. No big deal.
One of the funniest experiences that I've seen is someone I know, and someone in the disability community, and she was really sweet, and she was really adorable, and really just awkward and cute and genuine.
Right.
But she was so funny. So she had a crush on this actor, and I had no idea who he was, but she was a super fan, like crazy girl, super fan. Every time he would have an event in her area, she would show up. I had no idea who this person was, even know what he looked like. He was a nice guy, but wow. So when she saw him, she just like went into complete meltdown geek mode. but thought she was acting normal. And it was really funny. So she saw him and like put on her fangirl whatever attitude, pulled me aside, and she told me, Shana, I think he has a crush on me. I was like, oh really? Oh, that's really sweet. And it was so cute. So he and I kind of became friends. So I told him later, I was like, you know, she thinks you have a crush on her. And he's like, what? And I said, I feel like it might be the other way around.
Sure.
He said, yeah, I kind of agree with that. I said, so you noticed too, huh? Like, and we were just like saying that out of love for her. We're not in a mean way, not in a condescending way. It was very, very sweet.
Don't necessarily mean, if you're not into somebody, you don't have to be mean about it.
Very,
unless they
very
push
sweet.
boundaries,
we were
then
like
you might have to be tough about it. But most
we're
people
admiring
just
this
say
person
no.
together, like how sweet she is, and like how tender that was, and how much like he appreciated her support.
Right?
It was exactly
sometimes
that.
It's flattering.
It was very flattering. It was very, very sweet. I would never say something mean.
And it doesn't sound like she crossed any lines or breached any boundaries, as it were. So
it was very sweet. So then a few months later, she was like going on about a conversation she had with him. Well, she'd been emailing him incessantly, and I didn't know it. Right? But she made it sound like they were really good friends and in a conversation. And in her mind, they were. And so I asked her, I said, you know, you told me you think he has a crush on you. She said, yeah, I do. And I said, what I'm really hearing you say is there's a possibility that maybe you have a crush on him, but I'm just listening closely and I could be really wrong. She said, yeah, I really have a big crush on him. And I said, I kind of thought so. And I said, are you sure he has a crush on you? She said, yeah, I know he does. That's great. I'm really happy for you. So I talked to him and told him that was her impression because he needed to know.
Probably so. He didn't
because
want
he
to
had a girlfriend.
Misleading her by accident or
he
something.
Had a girlfriend. He needed to protect that relationship. So I kind of gave him a heads up and I said, look, you know, this is the perspective that it's actually mutual. And you need to be aware of this so that you really pay attention to how you communicate with this person, like for her benefit and for yours. Because right now I think there might be a misunderstanding and I want to help you both be on the same page.
And if he needs to set the boundaries.
It was useful,
hopefully if he needed to set some boundaries, hopefully it helped and maybe she was able to move past that, take that. I don't know. I don't know if you know what happened or anything, but
no, I don't
sometimes,
really know.
And sometimes you have to, I guess, be kind of tough about letting somebody know something like that, and hopefully they respect it.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, it was at least an opportunity for awareness, and sometimes awareness is what's really important. But how
a lot of times you can just be nice about it, and
it was
okay.
very kind. It was very supportive, and I wasn't breaking anything that was confidential. I was definitely helping protect her emotions, but also presenting an opportunity to help develop perspective taking for somebody who doesn't have perspective taking.
Sure.
Which is why the situation was misunderstood a lot.
Right.
And I didn't want to see her end up being hurt and also walk away with expectations that were never going to be met.
Sure.
That wouldn't be fair to her.
That's part of it too. Did she know that he had a girlfriend?
Yes.
See, that to me is a little disrespectful too. If you know somebody's in a relationship,
she didn't care.
That to me is again crossing boundaries. I mean, don't step to somebody who's in a relationship. That's really, that to me is just not cool. I mean, even if she's cute about it and nice about it, that's very disrespectful to the relationship and very disrespectful to the girlfriend for sure in that particular case. So probably a good thing you helped clarify that. But in hearing that part of it, if she approached him like that, knowing full well that he was already in a relationship, that to me is definitely crossing boundaries that you shouldn't be crossing. If you know somebody's in a relationship, don't approach. Leave it alone.
Right. I mean, be friends.
Friends is always fine. But that's again respecting boundaries. If you really love somebody, it's not about you. If you really love the person, you want to do what's best for the situation. If being friends is what's best, then you be friends.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm gonna kind of geek myself out a little bit here, but I've been in situations where I had a crush on a girl and had that conversation where, Rex, I think you're a really great guy. I would genuinely love to be friends with you, but I'm not interested in anything more.
Right.
You know, I still followed through and let the friendship happen because it wasn't
Yeah.
just about
Being
me.
friends is
And plus, it was
important.
also the idea that my attraction for the girl wasn't just because she was pretty or whatever. It was because I really liked the person. So, okay, the romantic part may not work out, but I'll definitely let the friendship happen because I still like you, the person. So that to me is an example of, I think, if you really love that person, you don't make it all about you and what you want. You do what's best for the situation and what's for that relationship. And if it's a friendship is what is offered, well, then be friends with them. Let the rest of it go and be friends.
You can never have too many friends.
Absolutely. And I've got girls in my life that, 10, 20 years later that started off as a crush like that are still really close friends with these girls many, many years later. And I'm grateful to that. And one thing that I've learned too over those years is sometimes that as much as maybe you want that chemistry to be there, maybe it's just not that kind of chemistry. It's just not that kind of connection. But it doesn't mean you still don't have something that is meaningful, that isn't worthwhile. And again, like you say, you can't have enough like genuinely good friends.
Right.
And because on those occasions when thankfully it doesn't happen like that every time. I've had some wonderful relationships over the years, but in those cases where it did happen, like I said, there's a couple of these girls, several of the girls that even 10, 20 plus years later, they're still part of my life. We're still fantastic friends and I'm grateful for it.
Right.
And even if you're honest with yourself, you look back and realize that is what was best. If we had to try to pursue a relationship, it wouldn't have worked anyways, because that's not the kind of vibe and chemistry that we had. The vibe is definitely that of a friendship. We did the right thing. I did the right thing by letting it happen, and ended up with a really amazing friend out of it. So to me, that's way worthwhile. And it also kind of reminds me that, when it does click that way, when it becomes romantic or becomes something more, it's because that's what's really there.
Right.
And I've just always been honest with myself about that, to say, okay, if the vibe is there, let's go that way. If that connection is there, then do it. If the connection is definitely a friendship connection, then honor that. If you really love that person, really care about that person, then again, it's not about you. It's about what's best for you and that person. And if that friendship is what's best, then be friends.
Right. It's easy. It's easy to honor friendships.
I love my friendships, and like I say, I've always cultivated friendships with women. I have some wonderful male friends for sure, but some of my best friends in the world, like you, happen to be very beautiful women, and I'm grateful for those friendships because those mean the world to me. Just to have that real connection, even if it's just friends. You don't make light of that. When that connection is real, whether it's a friendship connection or something more, it's huge. How many real friends do we all have in our lives? Finding those real friendships and having that something that's genuinely meaningful. That's a very rare thing, especially when it happens to go into the years. I'm grateful to all of my friendships.
Yeah.
I'm happy for them. I have no problem being in the friend zone. I'm perfectly happy with that because when it does finally connect on a deeper level, I know that's real. I know that's a genuine connection. That's what's got the chance to really work.
Yeah. I guess I don't even look for the deeper, whatever, the extra. I'm just so grateful to have the friendship.
Absolutely.
And I'm all good with that. But I'm also really good at being single.
Well, I've been single for a really long time.
I'm confident in me. I don't need to have somebody else to complete me, to make me feel whole. I'm already whole.
Well, that's the idea. That's what makes those relationships work, is two whole people coming together to create something together. I agree with that. I'm not going to knock on anybody. I think it's a beautiful thing when you hear somebody doing wedding vows or something like that. Like, she completes me or he completes me. He's the other half of me. Okay, I understand those connections. And I respect that, but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like something, this is just my personal take, and just based on my own experience, I feel much more confident in myself being whole. I've been single for a long time, and sure, I would love to make that connection. I look forward to having that opportunity again in this life, for sure. But at the same time, I don't want to feel like I have to have that to be a whole person. I want to make sure I am complete and whole myself, so when it finally does happen again, I can make sure I can really give my best to that woman. To that experience, and give my heart and soul to that woman, and knowing that I'm doing it as a whole and complete person, and she can come into that also as herself being a whole and complete person. That's just my take on it, because I know relationships can work a lot of different ways. Connections, love happens a lot of different ways, but that's just my personal feeling, and based on my experiences, that's, I guess, for me personally, that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I'm hoping for. And we'll see what happens in time.
Yeah. I think emotional.
No rush or anything. I got some things I need to work out within myself, so I can make sure that when it does happen, I can be definitely at my best and make sure I can give my whole heart to this woman.
Right. I think emotional wisdom is like one of the key things. I mean, it's in the top 3 for me.
Sure.
One
I
of
can
the
understand.
key things that I have to have in a commitment, relationship, connection. Even in friendships, I have to have that. There has to be emotional wisdom.
It's got to be real. I mean, a friendship friendship is not, that's why I don't like the expression of just friends. I mean, a true friendship, I mean, that's real. That's soul deep. I mean, and for me, if I lose one of my true friends, it breaks my heart almost as much as when I lose my partner. I mean, that's still incredibly heartbreaking when you lose somebody who's like a close friend. Sometimes even more, because friendships can be very, very intimate. If it's just because it's not sexual, it doesn't mean it's not still very intimate and very deep.
No, it's not about that. It's about
Exactly.
just about
It's not about
unconditional
that.
love.
It's about true love. Again,
Like
that love
unconditional.
is what's best for that relationship, what's best for that experience, what's best for that situation.
Yeah, I heard something so interesting one time. There's a wonderful pastor I know, and he was talking about a couple he was talking with, and they're getting married, and it's their wedding day, and the guy who's going to be marrying this woman that day keeps saying, I love her so much. I love her so much. She's so beautiful. She's everything I wanted. She's so beautiful, and I love her so much. And all this pastor could think is, oh my God, you are in for a shock. You are in for a world of disappointment and heartache. He said,
it's all about what she makes him feel. It's all about what she does for him.
It's because all he could say, it wasn't even, she's so beautiful and I love her so much. He couldn't separate the two.
Okay.
He was so
just a
not emotionally
kind of
developed that all he could see was like the primal external beauty of this person, and that's all he could love about her.
Okay,
he couldn't find anything more rich about this person he was dedicating his life to. And this pastor's like,
so there's no talk about her heart, her intelligence, about their connection.
Nothing.
And about maybe,
I love her so much. She's so beautiful. I love her so much. I love her so much. She's so beautiful. I love her so much. That was it. He's like, this marriage is already doomed. And it just got started 5 minutes ago.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
That was all there was. It's like, where is the emotional intelligence? Where's the depth? How do people go deeper? How is she not an object? If you love someone because they're beautiful, you have missed what love is.
Yeah, you kind of missed the point of, I think if that's all you're looking at is the aesthetic quality of it.
That's all he can see.
And then sometimes too, and then, I notice people can sometimes get caught up in what this person does for me, how they make me feel, and not thinking about the connection, their heart, their intelligence, not thinking about chemistry, about how much, about not only that, but how about how you impact your partner. What do you mean to them, and what do you bring to them, and how do you make them feel, and how is important to you that they feel beautiful and wonderful and special and intelligent, and that you recognize their beautiful heart, their compassion.
Right.
I think there's a lot to that. I mean, personally, and again, I'm no expert here. I mean, I'm however old I am, and I'm single, but case in point is, I'm just looking for a chemistry. I don't even care about how old or young she is. I don't care about if she's tall or short, blonde, brunette. I don't care if she's black, white, brown. I mean, I'm not even thinking about any of that kind of stuff anymore. I'm just looking for where is that connection? Where is that vibe? Where is that soul deep thing that just stirs you from some of those those deep core depths? That's the thing I'm looking for. And I noticed in my best friendships, it's always about that chemistry. It's always about that vibe. And I think we've talked about it in videos and before. Is like, our friendship is such that the first time we ever even met each other, I had to think, we had such an incredible conversation. The very first time we talked to each other, it's like we knew each other for years already. And I actually had to think to myself for a second, do I already know this girl? Have we met somewhere before? Until I realized, of course, we hadn't, but still, there's a chemistry and connection and something that goes deeper than anything that's on the surface. And again, if you love this person, you honor that. That's what you're going to honor. And anything else, if it's meant to come together, it's meant to come together. But it's all secondary at that point. Even the sexual part is secondary. Clearly, we're just friends. There's no sex between us. We are friends, and we always have been and always will be. So I don't want to. Don't get me wrong. She's so beautiful, but it's not about that. I mean, but what makes her
Oh,
beautiful to me isn't the way she looks. She's a beautiful
that's
human
sweet.
being.
Thank you.
She's got one of the biggest hearts of anybody I've ever met. She's incredibly smart, and as friend, she's been one of my best friends. Doing the kind of things that I do, my work and whatnot. She's been incredibly supportive as my friend, and it's one of those things that we knew right off the bat. I mean, if something like that was going to happen, it probably, I don't know, maybe it would have happened. But case in point, she's got somebody, and he's also my friend. I love her partner. He's a great guy. He's a fantastic person, and I love hanging out with him, and I love hanging out with them as a couple because they're a beautiful couple together. But case in point is it's honoring the vibe. It's honoring the connection. And friendships, like, again, they're just every bit as important as anything else you're going to have in your life. I mean, any relationship, if it's real and it's true. That's what matters to me, and right now that's what gets me through this life. I've got some incredible, beautiful friends, and obviously, like all of us, I have my goals, and I'm working through things, and I got healing on my own to do, especially with she's got some health issues, I got some health issues, and but this is what we're all healing, and but that's what gets us through. I came through a near-death experience, and I was always a loner before that. Not to say I didn't have great friends. I've always been blessed to have good people in my life. But at that point in time, I like to just keep myself isolated and separate, and I didn't focus on that stuff so much. But ever since this whole near-death experience happened, my whole thing is I want to connect.
Different.
I want to share, and I'm not even in at least bit ashamed to say that. Yes, I need my friends. I need the people in my life. It's not in a needy kind of a way, like I can't function without you sort of a thing. But it's more of a need that says that when you're not in my life, I miss you. I feel it when you're not around. And same with potentially meeting that partner to me. Hopefully the girl with whom I get to grow a life and build a life with. Again, I'm not in any rush for anything like that because I still got stuff to do on my own and take care of on my own first. But when that happens too, same thing. I mean, I just want what's best in that situation, and I want to be my best for her. I don't want to. I know I already said this. I don't want to repeat myself, but we ought to be.
I mean, we are giving our best.
Being honest with you, again, we kind of get back to the original, what we originally were talking about is like, especially when you're first meeting somebody, you honor that connection. Don't read into it just because, guys or girls, just because this person you talk to is physically attractive, becoming enamored just because of their looks, or becoming enamored because of their status, or maybe becoming enamored because maybe they have a lot of money or something like that. I mean, that's a recipe, for disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if it's going to become romantic, that's a huge recipe for disaster right there. And people get hurt. And especially if you end up, having a family out of it, then you've got children that get hurt. I mean, there's so many things that come with that. It's just part of honoring yourself and loving yourself is being honest enough to say, hey, listen, I recognize the chemistry. I recognize, what it is that I have here. And, if you have a situation where maybe you want it to be one thing, but clearly the chemistry, the connection is something else. Again, don't make it about yourself. It's not about just what you want. It's what's best for both of you. You're thinking about not just yourself, but you're thinking about the other person and what's best for that particular relationship. And if a friendship is what's best, honor that. You may end up with one of the best friends and best relationships of your entire life, whether it's same sex, opposite sex, or whatever the case may be. Just honor whatever you get there, and you might just end up with something really, really special in your life. That's one of the things I've always honored. I'm so glad to have.
Right.
Like I said,
and this is why you respect people, and people respect you.
All different kinds of people, absolutely.
Right.
And I have friends of all walks of life. And I'm grateful for that. Same with my guy friends. I have guy friends too that I'm a hugger. I like to hug people, and I'll hug my guy friends just as much as I hug anybody. And this might sound kind of funny, especially to you straight guys out there. You might think this. I don't care if this sounds kind of weird to you, but I even have gay friends of mine that walk up and give me a kiss. It's not a sexual thing. They're not hitting on me. These are my friends, and and I don't have a problem with that. Because they're not crossing any lines. It's just a token and gesture of affection. I'm perfectly comfortable with that.
I'll give a friend a kiss on the cheek or a big giant hug. I mean, that's not hitting on someone. That's not flirting. That's just saying I really appreciate you for being in my life.
It's a genuine just token of affection. It's a token of endearment to me. I appreciate that. So it's and I appreciate that warmth and affection. Especially with a great big hug. I appreciate that a lot.
It's so important. And, again, that goes with boundaries and personal space. And
when you know somebody and you're comfortable with somebody, that's it. You know where the boundaries are. And like I said, when that, I don't know. I guess I'm going off a little bit here because it's a passionate subject.
It's true. But also I've encountered people where I have a history of hugging this person, and sometimes they're like, oh, I'm not hugging right now. I know something personally for them has shifted.
Sure.
They're not willing to name what it is. And I'm like, that is so fine. And thank you
You can
for telling
respect
me
their
where
space,
you are.
and if they're ready to talk about it, you're there to talk
That's
about it.
right.
And if not, that's okay. Let them process on their own.
That's right. But I always
That's
say
part of
thank
being,
you.
but that's part of
Yeah.
being a friend, though, right? That's part of
Right.
being a real friend to somebody. And sometimes your partner says that to you. Maybe your partner's had a day, or something's happened with your partner. And they're like, you know what? Right now, I just need some space. I don't want to talk right now. I just need some space.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get mad about it. Don't force them to talk
not
about it. Go
personal.
give them their space. Let them process it. And if they're ready to talk about it, they will.
It's
And
about them. It's not about you.
It is,
And,
exactly.
Yeah, and then it's also, you know, like I know one time I went to hug Eden, you give her a big hug,
Oh, sure.
and you know, and just like kind of like just squeeze her a little, and she's like, no, don't do that. I'm not comfortable. And I was like, thank you so much for telling me, for naming your boundaries. Thank you for letting me know where you are. That is totally fine. And you let me know when you're ready.
So they know?
That's my partner's daughter.
Yep.
And I said, thank you so much for letting me know. You know, and I said, anytime someone doesn't respect that boundary with you, get out of there fast. They do not have good intentions. Keep yourself safe.
And they're making it about themselves. If that's the case, in their mind, it's all about them. They're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about the other person.
No. And I teach people that. Like when I'm working with clients who don't always have healthy boundaries, can't read other people, don't have great perspective taking, they don't know a good hug, like a healthy hug from a not healthy hug. They can't understand the difference. And like certain people you can hug, certain people you can't. And if it's somebody who's not immediate family, and it's, you know, if your parents or guardians say it's okay to hug this person, you don't know what a right time length is, count to 3, just hug. If it's someone you don't know well, you can give a side hug and be fine with that. If it's, you know, you can just give an elbow touch or something, and that's
Sometimes
great
it's
too.
just a little fist bump.
Exactly. And if it's somebody that you're close to, just do like a really quick hug high, no longer than 3 seconds. Cut it off at 3 seconds. Follow the 3-second rule to keep yourself safe, because that way you don't have to guess where someone is. And if you pull away and somebody doesn't let go, push off, push away, and say no, because they have crossed your
It's okay
boundary.
to ask, you know, and there's times
Right.
that,
I
if
tell
I'm not
people
sure I'm
ask
in a
if they
situation,
don't know.
I'll just go like, hey, is a hug okay? And if they say no, then hey, no problem.
Yeah,
If
I
and
teach
most of the
asking.
time they'll say yes, but
Yeah.
if they do, you give them a hug. But if not,
Yeah.
it's okay to say, hey, hug okay?
But we're talking right now only about people with whom there's a history of hugging.
Sure.
But how long is appropriate? 3 seconds, then let go. Then you're fast. Then you're fast, you're in, you're out. It's good. You made your point. If they don't let
And
go,
it can just be a friendly hug,
something's
sure.
wrong.
Sure.
But this can help gauge who's safe and who's not.
Sure.
But you know, our personal space is exactly that, and we have to honor that.
Definitely.
That has to be
sure.
honored.
And somebody who cares about you, who's a real friend, even a real partner, they'll honor that. And it's okay, even if it's your partner. Sometimes you just need your space, and that's okay. And if your partner appreciates you and they know you, then they're like, hey, that's cool. Do what you got to do. It's cool. No problem.
That's right. Yeah.
Because not everybody wants to cuddle all the time. Not everybody wants to be touched all the time. And everybody goes through their stuff. I mean, especially if they had something traumatic happen to them. Maybe they had a parent die or something like that, or something, you know, or something else that's got them weighing heavy on their mind.
Something tender, sensitive, whatever.
You know, people react different ways to different things.
That's
and again, you know, if you love the person, you're not making it about yourself. You're making it about them in that moment because you want to do what's best for them. And some people just need their space at sometimes. And you know, and if it's a friend, typically that's going to come back around at some point, and you'll have a chance to talk with them about it. And usually on the other end of it, you'll hug it out. So you know, but if not, it's okay too. It's just, you gotta respect people in that regard. If you love them, you really respect them. Give them that space if they need it, for sure.
Yeah, and we have to really work, especially with children, because they're so susceptible to so many things about what is appropriate hugging, what is appropriate touching.
And they're still learning their boundaries. Children haven't learned
Exactly.
about that yet. And all they know is what makes them comfortable. And if they're uncomfortable, that's all they know. And
Right.
I mean, for me, it's something, the case of, do I know this child? If I don't know the child, then I give the child space for sure. I mean, I'm not going to hug a child that I don't know. And, you know, especially children will let you know, too, if they're not comfortable, like you say with Eden. They'll pretty much just straight up tell you
That's
about
right.
that.
And then again, I
And again, it's okay to ask. And if a child says
Yeah.
no, then just honor it. It's okay, no problem.
Yeah, and I reminded her that the other day. She's like, I didn't know you as well then as I know you now.
It's sometimes it's as simple as that. Let them get to know it. Give them a little time,
I said,
you know?
that's okay. The main thing is your boundaries were respected, and I wanted you to know that your no was totally all right, and that you could always say no, and it will be received with love.
Absolutely.
You're safe to say no. And if anyone tells you you're not safe to say no, they're not safe, and you get away.
And I'll tell you, if you're constantly making a person uncomfortable about that, you're just going to push them away anyhow. That's not going to help anything, and you're just going to end up driving them away. You know, if you're not respecting boundaries in a moment like that, and then you're just going to push them away anyhow.
That's right.
And if you hadn't done that with her in that moment, she might not have ever come around and been comfortable to hug you.
I didn't even think of it like that. I just want her to know that her no means no for the rest of her life.
Absolutely.
That her space is sacred.
That's very important.
You know, her space is sacred. Her boundaries are sacred.
But sometimes giving a person time like that, you know, they will kind of get relaxed and get to know you a little bit, then it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you let them decide that in their own time.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be up to the other person. I mean, things have to be consensual.
Absolutely. Mutually consensual. Absolutely.
Yeah. What does that look like for you, the mutually consensual piece? Because we talk about that a lot, but how is that for you?
Well, like I say, if anything, I kind of play it safe, you know, right off the bat. You know, if I already have a rapport with somebody and I'm comfortable with somebody, typically I'll just go in, you know, just say hello, and you just know it's okay to give them a hug.
Yeah.
But I've as I've gotten older, and certainly since this NDE, I've gotten a lot more sensitive, a lot more empathic. So I can usually read the person, and I can tell if they're not in a space where they're comfortable with a hug or something. And if then I'll just leave them be. If I feel like they need their space, I'll just back off. Because again, most people that I'm already friends with, that I've got time and history with, I mean, they'll let me know. And if they want the hug, sometimes I'll back off. I'll come on, Rex, come here. It's okay. Come on, buddy. You know. It's just kind of communication. And if I'm uncertain in a moment, I'll ask. Mm-hmm. I'll just ask the question. You know, if the answer is no, that's cool, no problem. And if the answer is yes, I just take it as it comes. I don't try to force anything on anybody in that regard. And if anything, I'll play it more. I'm too safe about doing that. I'd rather be too safe and give somebody too much space than crowd their space. Because you know, one thing I learned when I was a young man, because I used to overdo these situations and get oversensitive about certain things, and I would notice that if I'm not careful, I'll just push that person away. And I don't want to push a person away. I want them to know that they have a safe space around me, just like you described. Whether it's, you know, one of my friends that happens to have kids. I've got, you know, some of my friends' kids are my friends too. So
right.
It's just making sure somebody knows they're in a safe space with me, and wherever they happen to be in that moment, it's okay. It's completely okay. Yeah. And as their friend, I'm going to do my best to be there for them. And if they need the space in that moment, hey, go take your space. If you want to talk, I'm here to listen. Yeah. If you need a hug in that moment, I'll give you whatever hug you need. If you want a great big hug, you need to cuddle for a moment, need to be held for a moment, need to cry in my arms for a few, I'm here. You know, that's fine. I just try to take it each situation as it comes and do my best to honor where a person's at, because I want the best in a situation. And that's part of me being at my best, is I want to know that this other person is in a safe space when they're with me. Mm-hmm. And wherever they're at, it's okay. And as their friend, we'll work through it one way or the other together.
That's right. Yeah, space is so important. I mean, space is one of those things that we can retreat to where we know we're safe.
Absolutely.
If we're not given that space, how do we understand where we're safe and where our boundaries are and how we're seen and respected in that? Like, how do we establish our safety?
Because sometimes when people are in vulnerable emotional spaces, I mean, they're vulnerable to being taken advantage of, and you know that's going to be incredibly damaged, especially to the person in question. Yeah. And it's a good way to ruin a good friendship.
There's so many ways that women are objectified. What does it look like when a man is objectified by a woman? You're a man.
Well, I don't objectify women, so I don't think I've got an answer for that.
When a woman objectifies you, or another person objectifies you, leave the gender piece out, like just to be objectified. Have you experienced that?
I suppose so, but I mean, I don't know I don't know. I mean, it probably doesn't happen as much for me. I mean, I don't know that I've been objectified a lot, but I mean, I guess it's happened from time to time, and it's just one of those things like anything. You know, there's times when I feel like boundaries are being crossed. It just definitely makes me very uncomfortable. You know, especially if it comes from somebody that, you know, is somebody that I do care about. But at the same time, it's just do my best to communicate, be honest, and try to be clear on my boundaries, and just hope it's being respected. That's all I can say. You know, I don't.
I think the hardest for me is when
I want my boundaries respected like anybody does. I'm going to respect somebody's boundaries, and by the same token, it goes both ways. I mean, my boundaries have to be respected too, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
I go out of my way to respect people's boundaries, you know, anybody's boundaries, whether it's somebody I don't know very well to somebody I've known all my life. I mean, boundaries are very, very important, and everything's a little bit different. Every situation is a little bit different, and I don't expect everybody to go out of their way the way I do, but at the same time, every once in a while, there's situations that come up where it's like, I need my boundaries respected too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, I think the hardest for me is when there's triangulation.
Describe that.
So triangulation is when a person brings in another person to gang up and put them on their side and gang up against you, and then they both objectify you and then normalize their objectifying to minimize your value, to make you feel like you don't have
It make you feel
voice.
kind of stupid for it sometimes, even.
Yeah, or to make you like the butt of the joke in the
Sure.
worst possible way.
Yeah, it'll make you feel pretty stupid, all right, and make you feel bad for.
It makes them look stupid.
It does.
Doesn't make
It
me
makes you
look
feel bad for your
stupid.
boundary, depending on how they do it. Sometimes it can be done in a way that it can be very convincing in the moment, especially with somebody that you respect or people that you respect. It can make you feel bad for having that boundary.
Yeah, or just people like being inappropriate with stuff, and
Which they should. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
The point
like
is that
making
to make you
comments
feel bad
about
because there's a
body
boundary in
image
place. I mean,
or,
that's not being a friend. That's definitely not showing respect. That's incredibly disrespectful to make somebody feel bad because they have a particular boundary in a particular place.
yeah, or just objectifying someone, like taking somebody's assets and then like accentuating them, making fun of them, putting them on a public display in a sense, and getting other people to laugh and mock and make fun of, like that is
It can be downright demeaning.
Yeah. And then if there's other things that are made to insinuate and put down and things with that can be really hard. I think that's probably the worst, is like the triangulation and the group mentality behind that. Yeah. That is a real hurt, because not only does one person see you as nothing but an object, but then they get another person to join in, or other people to join in.
Sure.
To get that kind of mob mentality and join in and making fun, or the oh yeah, you're only worth this, whatever this is, this measurable, invisible thing that's measurable, and this is only what your value is. Whether it's a dollar sign or a tape measure,
Sure.
or whatever it might be. That always feels icky. It feels
Icky, yes indeed.
really icky. It feels gross and disgusting and belittling. And what's hard is when
And it can make a person feel even worse about themselves than they may already feel.
Yeah, but it's men do this, but women also do this. And why a woman will choose to do this to another woman is something I don't understand. Why does a woman want another woman to feel like she's only as good as a dollar sign in whatever way they make up the story in her head, or as good as a tape measure, so that she only meets these certain inches or centimeters on a tape measure and can't exceed that number, or fits into a certain number that might be flattering in some strange way, or whatever the number is they make up in their head. Like there's this invisible standard, and if you meet the standard, then we're going to objectify you. But if you don't meet the standard, we're also going to objectify you. I don't know. That's a real thing.
I've noticed that sometimes it can be kind of a sort of a competition between women in that regard. For one woman will not try to knock down another woman. I've seen that happen.
That's terrible.
Well, you wonder what's going on inside, somebody who does that. I mean, they obviously have their own situation, their own insecurities, own issues potentially. It's hard to say, without knowing the person, what really goes behind that. It doesn't make the action right by any stretch of the imagination, because people get hurt because of it. But
it's.
But what kind of a space must a person be in to do that to another person?
Well,
Whether that's a woman doing it to a woman, or a man doing that to a man, or for that matter, a woman doing that to a man.
So like, here are things that women are told, and here are things that trans people are told. Here are things that drag queens are told, and I'm trying to bring in all the populations I could think of, that hear these things I'm about to name. But stick with me and listen and see if this fits for you in some way. But, you know, these are things I've heard throughout my life in different capacities. And I just want to run this past Rex, run this past you, and see how this fits. Why do you wear your clothes so baggy? You have such a cute figure and you should show it off. Why do you wear your clothes so tight and form-fitting? You look kind of trashy. You have more class than that. You have such great curves. Why do you wear such high-cut things that don't show and flatter your figure? Why do you wear something so low-cut? Are you trying to show off something or advertise something? Is there something you're selling? Why do you wear something low-cut like that? You look like trash. Why is your skirt so tight? Are you trying to show off an asset? Why are your pants and your skirts always so loose and baggy? You look like your clothes are about to fall off. Why do you always wear heels all the time? Are you trying to make your legs show a certain way? Like, do you always want to show so much leg? Are you trying to look sexy? Why do you always wear heels? Are you like really conscious of your height? Do you think you're short or something? Maybe you're too short. In fact, I know you're too short. Look how short you are. You would be so hot if you were 6 inches taller. If you were 6 inches taller, I would totally date you. I was actually told that.
Jeez.
Yeah. Why are you always in flats? You know, those shoes really aren't flattering on you. You should really wear something that shows off the shape of your leg a little better. It'd be so much more flattering on you. Why do you wear boots all the time? What is it you're trying to hide? Why do you want to cover up so much? You know, boots don't go with just everything. And you kind of wear them with things that you should never wear boots with. And you have all these nice heels. Why don't you wear them? Why do you wear your hair straight and flat? It just makes your nose look big. Why do you wear your hair so curly? You kind of look like you woke up and crawled out of bed. Why don't you do something and fix your hair? Why do you wear your hair so dark? You know, you look so washed out and pale, really kind of sickly. Why do you have your hair so blonde? Why do you wear it platinum? Are you trying to look like a hooker? Why do you wear your lipstick so red or so dark? You know, it looks like you're trying to advertise something. It makes you look cheap. Why do you not have lipstick on? You know, if a woman doesn't wear lipstick, she's not dressed to leave the house. You should always leave the house with lipstick on. Otherwise, you're not dressed. You're not presentable to go in public. Why did you leave the house without makeup today? You look sick and you look kind of just ill and like you really don't care about how you look. Why do you want people to think you don't care about how you look? Did you even brush your teeth or take a shower today? Why is your eye makeup so dark? Your eyes look sunken. You look disgusting. Why don't you wear more eye makeup? You have on no eye makeup today, or your eye makeup is so light and it looks so weird and so natural that nobody can really see your eyes. You look just sort of washed out. Why don't you put some color on your cheeks? Your cheeks look really pale. You look kind of sick today.
Jeez.
Why do you put all that stuff on your cheeks? You have such beautiful skin. Why do you want to hide it? I've heard all of this.
That's a lot. Wow. I'm like getting like
my entire life. My entire life. Every bit of that and a lot more that I'm not even going to go into.
I think that very much illustrates the point.
I've heard all of it. And people wonder why women don't want any more criticism for how they look. And they want to be able to embrace just how they are in the moment. And know that from moment to moment, no matter what's happening in your life, no matter what's going on privately, no matter what's going on openly, no matter what you're wearing that day, your value never changes. Your value never changes from age 4 to age 14 to 24 to 44 to 84. You can have all these life experiences and you can have all these things happen to you at every one of those ages, and your value never changes. You can dress male one day, you can dress androgynous one day, you can dress female one day. Your value never changes. But when you've got people judging you 24 hours a day, telling you why and how you're too thick, you're too thin, gain weight, lose weight, wear this, wear that, don't wear this, don't wear that, all day long, every day, your entire life. You wonder why we have people with body dysmorphia, eating disorders, depression, and a high suicide rate.
That's a lot to take in. I'm overwhelmed just hearing it.
And I only went into a fraction of it because there's so much more. But that gives you an idea of what some of us hear our entire lives. And a lot of it starts at home. And parents don't even realize they do it. They think they're being helpful. But then you've got peers, and then you've got educators, and you've got other professionals, and you've got people in the modeling industry or the mental health profession, or people in inner office communication, or other students, and the list goes on and on for what all the other ors can be, right? But it's so ingrained in our society that we're trained as, like a lot of us as women are trained to say, oh, I'm sorry. Or we're trained to say, I'll do better next time. We're trained to make excuses for looking in a way that makes us happy. Or doing something where we can walk out of the house feeling confident. Why women get shamed for wearing yoga pants, I don't understand it. She's too thin to wear those pants. She's just showing off her bottom. She's too big to wear those. Is anyone ever going to be happy? Can the person wearing it be happy without other people insulting it and judging it?
I would hope so.
I would hope so too. You know, just because I don't run around in yoga pants all the time doesn't mean I have a problem with anybody running around in yoga pants all the time, particularly people doing yoga. Right?
I imagine they're probably very comfortable.
Right.
I would look good in yoga pants.
And guess what? When I go hiking, if it's not too cold and I'm not wearing layers, or even if I am wearing layers, one of those layers might be yoga pants. But if I'm out hiking like I was this weekend, I was wearing yoga pants.
Sure.
They're great for movement and walking and being outdoors. You know? And guess what? Every other woman I saw had on yoga pants. Nobody on the trail was shaming anybody else. Everybody was out there and happy to be out there. It was perfect. Nobody complained about anyone's makeup or anyone's hair or anyone's cap on their head or whatever else people complain about. It was a free space, and it was beautiful because of it. It was a judgment-free zone, and it's one of the only judgment-free zones I've seen, being outdoors on a nature trail, because nobody cares how you look. They're just happy to be outdoors, and they're happy you're out there too. And nobody cared. It was wonderful. But to have to live in that space of power, control, judgment, all of these things that cause tremendous harm, right? It's a hard way to live every single day. And in that, there are a lot of people who tend to objectify others if they're not tearing them down. And I don't see why and how that's okay. But maybe
It's back to
there's
the original
something
point of
wrong with
boundaries,
it.
right?
Exactly. Boundary work. It is not your business. Keep your boundaries. Mind your boundaries, because what that person's wearing or doing isn't about you. It doesn't involve you. That's not your space. That person is not breaking the law. That person is doing no harm to themselves, no harm to others. They're not harming you. They're not harming anyone you love. They're not being some terrible example of humanity.
Let them just be themselves. Let them wear what they want. It doesn't matter what other people think. And one thing that, I mean, of course, it's hard in this world, because especially if you have to hear it all the time. But you just, one of the things is just get so comfortable with yourself. Just love yourself, and it doesn't even matter what somebody else thinks. So if somebody wants to try to objectify, as you're describing, I know it's hard to have to hear it all the time, like you're saying. That would be overwhelming. If I had to hear that all the time, I don't even know. But it just gets to a point where, I don't really care what anybody else thinks. I'm gonna do what the heck I want to do anyways.
Right.
If you think I'm too tall, too skinny, too this, too that, I don't really care. This is my life, and I'm gonna just live this life the best that I can. The people that love me, they're gonna love me no matter what.
Yeah.
And same thing, I'm gonna love them no matter what as well. They can do what the heck they want, and I love you just the same.
Exactly. That's exactly it. What is unconditional love and unconditional regard, and how do we work with that within boundaries, like our personal boundaries and also the boundaries of others?
Sure.
How do we show up unconditionally? What does that look like? How do we do no harm in a setting?
It is the same message we always have. It really comes down to that love, loving yourself and loving each other, and not making it about yourself, and again, respecting boundaries, but also just respecting, letting somebody just be themselves, and loving them no matter what, and knowing that they're going to love you no matter what.
And admiring them and their creativity and their expression.
Well, lift them up, absolutely. Remind them of the things that are beautiful about them, or are special about them, or what makes them unique, or what have you. So it is.
Very much so, because we were picked on so much when we were younger for how we looked and music we listened to and how we dressed. People didn't understand this whole new romantic whatever look and this darker gothy whatever.
Well, fortunately, being a 6'4" tall guy, especially when I was younger, and I was a much thicker 6'4", I didn't get messed with too much, but it happened sometimes. But as a kid, for me, it was mostly when I was a kid. Being in junior high school in particular, that's when it was really the worst for me. But I understand. I mean, you've had a lot longer and a lot later in life than I did. I got to a point where especially somebody who used to fight and being a martial artist, people don't usually pick on me a whole lot. Especially back in those years. Once I got out of school and I became an adult, and thankfully I didn't have to deal with that a whole lot. No matter how I dressed, because I was definitely somebody who dressed in a lot of very countercultural kind of ways, we'll just say. And it happened once in a great while, but most of the time I handled it. So. But
yeah.
I feel sorry. I mean, I empathize. I say feel sorry, but I empathize with those that have to go through that. And I know you went through it. You've gone through it a lot. So.
Yeah. I mean.
But like I say, just really. If I think maybe thinking about it just in a loving context. I think you're looking at been talking for a good long time, and maybe
we have
find a loving space to.
Yeah.
Kind of pull that in a full circle and.
Definitely. But I think it's important that I can name the judgments that women hear, the judgments that I've heard.
That was a long list.
That was a fraction.
I get it. That was still a very long list.
But I wanted it to be impactful.
It was impactful. I'm listening to it. It was impacting the heck out of me. So I imagine anyone listening to this, I'd hope that you have been impacted by that. And hopefully, especially for guys, especially if you're one of those guys, even women too. But if you're somebody that does that sort of thing, hopefully it takes pause and makes you think.
Yeah.
Take it from a more loving perspective, and remember, it's not all about you. It's not all about.
That's right.
It's about all of us, and we're going to set each other free. It's about loving each other, loving ourselves, and loving each other for who and what we are. For everything that we are, including the things you may not be so crazy about. But just loving the whole person. It's real simple in that regard.
And then when we look at these things and then we add in disabilities, it's another layer of stuff. I mean, I dated someone who's not date worthy. I think we've all done that, right? So I dated a neuropsychologist for a few months, very briefly. And this person tried to convince me that I had no value to live, and used a lot of harm because this person didn't believe I had autism until they pushed a bunch of wrong buttons, caused tremendous harm by trying to use psychological methods for other disabilities that I didn't have that were incredibly damaging. I was not a subject, I was a person that this person was dating. They were breaking all kinds of ethical guidelines within psychology, and it was extremely dangerous. But when this person realized that I actually do have autism, he turned and told me that it's my fault that I have autism, that I'm choosing to be autistic, and that strong people with autism recognize they have it and they do all this work to not be autistic anymore. And he used to have autism. He formerly had autism. He doesn't anymore because he did his work. And I can be as good as he is now if I choose to be. But instead, I'm choosing to be a disabled autistic person, and it's my fault that I have it. As you can tell, we're not together.
No, of course not.
It was
you've
extremely
got a
damaging.
partner
He's
now.
a professor.
Well, that's really messed up. I mean, if anybody would know better, you'd think somebody like that would.
Yeah, you would think so. But there are people out there who want to actually cause harm.
Understood.
Which the number one rule is do no harm.
Right, right.
But some people like to cause harm. This person loved to cause harm. He threatened to kill my puppy.
Jeez.
Yeah, he was very violent. He was not an ace
Yeah,
in the
those are some
whole.
pretty big red flags.
Tremendous. But, you know, and I don't know what would bring out this kind of rage. Like, these things would happen out of nowhere. Like, I could be asleep and this person would go crazy and start screaming. It was just, I don't know. Don't know anything. But, you know, but there are things that we hear. And there are things within boundaries that we don't need to tolerate and put up with.
Right.
Hence, I was single for 1.5 years after that. Even though we only dated a few months. I was like, this is absolutely terrible. This is one of the worst decisions I've ever made. And yeah, I like me, and I like being single, and I don't like any of this.
Right.
You know, but it's boundary work, and it's important. It's important that we have those strong boundaries within ourselves that keep us safe, and that we also recognize our value and say these things are absolutely untrue. Just because somebody with expensive pieces of paper can say stuff doesn't make any of it valid or true. Any of it.
And it's about learning to just be comfortable in your own skin, being comfortable with yourself, loving yourself in such a way that, you know, you get to a point where that doesn't have to affect you because you know better.
Right. Yeah.
And the people that love you, as I say, I want to sound like a broken record here, but I mean, if they love you, they're going to love all of you.
That's right. We know what real, genuine love and care look like. Right. And we know what tenderness is. We know what support is. We know what supportive people are.
You know, whether it's somebody you're dating, somebody that's a partner, so your friends. I mean, the people that really love you and they know you, like I said, they're going to love you anyway. That's kind of the beautiful thing about it. Somebody who really loves you will love you no matter what.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. Yeah. Do you know how glad I am you're in my life?
Wow. Well, again, I want to counter a compliment with a compliment, but you know, I'm really glad to have you in my life as well. You are dearly, truly one of my best friends in the world, for sure.
You're definitely one of my best friends. I'm so grateful for you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for joining us as we talk about value of self and how to break through some of the boundaries that, you know, the healthy boundaries, the unhealthy boundaries we did break through.
Sure.
The healthy boundaries are set, and how to move away from objectification in all of its forms.
And just realizing
or many of its forms.
That loving, it's not love you truly love. It's not about you. It's loving the whole person. It's about being loved for everything you are, no matter what, and loving that person for everything that they are, no matter what. That's what unconditional love is. True love.
Yes, and remember, people are not objects. You never will be.
Right.
Never have been. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I mean, if you took the time and you stayed with us this whole time, seriously, thank you. I hope you got something out of this. Yes. Definitely went a lot of places here, and hopefully have a lot of good food for thought.
Yes.
So definitely love you. Peace.
Peace and blessings. Thank you.